Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Happy Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy Healthy Guys.
So let's talk today. It's been a minute since we have recorded a podcast. It's great to be back on. We, in the month of July, went on a journey of exploration of health and wellness, self-care as well. A lot of beaches were involved. Also, we're going to talk about that, the benefits of what it is that we did on our explorations in the month of July, where it is that we have been. And also, one of the things that we're going to talk about is how to truly live a happier, healthier life while you're traveling or out of town. It's one of the questions that we get asked most often. In fact, just this week, I had a friend who was sending me messages saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to be gone out of town for the weekend. What do I do? How do I stay healthy? I've got, she's got this fitness thing that she's doing some photos for in a few weeks. And she's like, what am I going to do? And it was almost like, it's
what
like,
are you going to do?
Exactly. I'm like, you do what you do every day. And I think one of the things that we often do, and I say we, myself, Dr. Randy, our team, is we take for granted that as we're living the things that are necessary to live a happier, healthier life, we take it for granted that everybody lives that way. Also. And so it's been great. Let's talk about our recent adventures in July. I've never done this before in my entire career, which was interesting for myself. It was literally for me, and we didn't have the opportunity to be able to do this before because we didn't have the opportunity to work from literally anywhere in the world, which we now are able to do. And so I wanted to test that this last month and really just be able to work from everywhere. And we were just counting, I was home in Dallas, Fort Worth in the month of July for a total of 6 days for the entire month. Outside of that, I was traveling somewhere. You and I were traveling together for a little bit of that time as well. But, we were in Puerto Vallarta, which was
incredible. Yeah. It's part of Mexico that we'd never been to, actually. So if you've never been to Puerto Vallarta, very, very beautiful. Obviously, it's Mexico. But we had a chance. I was glad you came too, because I had a chance to go there with my family, my mom. Some of you know my mom, have met Miss Freddie. She was in on our trip in Italy at the retreat.
She'll be at the next retreat as well.
She will. She'll be in Tulum with us, which we'll talk about here in a second. And that was there with her, my brother Russell, his wife Amy. A lot of you met Amy as well in Italy. And then their two boys, my two nephews, Austin and Luke, and then Amy's parents, Bob and Gammy. And it was really exciting, because you get to be around your family in a controlled environment, and you really get to see, like you're talking about, and obviously you joined us a little bit later, but you get to see kind of like, what does it really look like when people that you love and care about are away from home? And a lot of times, it really becomes more of who you are when you're gone versus some other version. I know I love to be gone because it's easier for me a little bit actually to live the happy, healthy life, because usually I'm able to disconnect from all the things that keep me stressed out or that put stresses on me that I can't break away from. So number one is I get to put my phone down, which is very, very powerful. If you haven't put your phone down for at least 2, 3, 4 hours, I would encourage you, if you can do it for several days, even more valuable. But I'm able to get away more from my phone, from my computer, and actually reconnect with nature and be around people and have conversations with people that I care about. And it obviously gives me a chance to strike up conversations that are somewhat controversial with my family, which I always enjoy doing, talking about health, talking about the medical cartel, talking about any and all things that rely on getting to the truth of the matter. So anyway, no, that was an awesome, awesome time. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Very powerful, and I was able to disconnect. So I needed that.
Yeah, so we did that. So right after Puerto Vallarta, we were home for a few days, and then we hopped on a plane to beautiful Tulum, Mexico, to do a site visit for where we're doing the retreat. We'll talk more about that. We've got some photos that we'll share with you as well from our trip, and some things that we're going to be doing that are going to be special there. So got to do that, and it was really cool too. Even being at that resort, we'll probably talk more about it. But just being able to talk to the director there of the resort, who we've been in contact with ever since, and being able to share our views on health, the way we do health. We even talked to their social media director there, had a long conversation with her, and who she's going to bring us on. She actually has a travel podcast, so she'll bring us on there. And it was really cool just to be able to, again, we take for granted what it is that we do on a daily basis, but here are people who are running an holistic health type resort, and they were still making a lot of mistakes.
Huge mistakes.
When it comes to what it is that you're putting into your body, and all the things. So we'll talk more about that. And then after that, got back for a day, and then I went on a journey to Palm Springs, which is hot. 114 degrees is what it was there in Palm Springs. Yeah, yeah, it was like, and here,
the dry heat.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, you stick your head in an oven at 114 degrees and it's still hot.
So it's still hot, even though there's not a lot of humidity.
It's way hot. And I went to an event there that was a 5-day retreat, all about like super deep inner healing. And so I got to shut my phone off, and then I was home for a day. No, I wasn't home for a day. I flew directly from there then to Hawaii to do another self-care retreat as well. Phone was still off, so it was like a week and a half, no social media, like you were saying, which was unbelievable. Got to reconnect with nature, and then came back this last Sunday evening. So I say that to say this is one of the things that I got to be able to get back into connection with, is really being aware of the things that we do when we're traveling that allow us to continue living this happy, healthy life. And here's one of the biggest things and tips that you could do, and this the same tip that I gave to that friend of mine who was like, "What am I going to do for a weekend?" It was really only 2 days, which is really funny.
Right.
And it's plan ahead. The things to do. We talk about simply eating real food. So if you know that you need to simply eat nutrient dense real food, then plan ahead. If you obviously know the hotel that you're going to be staying at, take a look at their menu. It's online. See the foods that they have there. Plan ahead. See if there's she's actually heading down to Austin. Take a look and see where the nearest Whole Foods is, to where you can actually get your foods from that Whole Foods.
So you can get your organic canola oil.
Don't do that.
From Whole Foods.
Don't do that, because you can do that. You can get organic, all kinds of crappy stuff.
Cow manure is also potentially organic, but I wouldn't eat it. So
exactly.
But when you were talking about that, remember, what did every single hotel you were at the whole month, the ones I was at, and when you go to places like that we were in Tulum, where we're going to have everybody come and be at the retreat, everybody's asking you one thing. They're like, do you have any food allergies? It's very simple to navigate that, because all you have to say is, I absolutely do. I have allergies to BS, and I have allergies to seed oil. Okay. Those are the two things. So as long as we can keep this a BS free environment, and we cannot poison our bodies with omega-6 linoleic acid, we should all be just fine here. But on a serious note, did they not? Every single person asked that?
Every single one did. And especially like even the hotels that have the breakfast, right? You can eat at the quote, the buffet.
Yeah.
Even when you do that, it's super simple. You just go up to the dude that's cooking the food there or making the eggs, and you say, "Hey, you know what? Can you cook my eggs with butter and not the oil squirt thing that they squirt it with.
Oh my God.
That
Then
you
that
have
plastic container, they say it's olive oil.
or the spray. Who
Yeah.
knows what in the world is in that? I have no clue what that is.
The
But
propellant has got to be some type of hexane-based chemical, benzene. I don't even know, but yeah, you don't have to do that.
So it's that easy.
It
I mean,
is.
and they've got fruit there. Eat the fruit, eat the eggs, eat the bacon, eat the sausage, whatever, proteins that are there, but it makes it super simple and you don't feel like crap when you do that. That's one of the things that, I know when we would travel and do seminars and things like that, and you are eating that stuff, and this is pre, us even being consciously aware of the dangers of the seed oils. I remember you would feel like crap all day long because of that. So I know how it affects my body. I know now if I put that into my body and I feel that, I'm like, oh, there was something in there that my body didn't respond well to. So the next day I'm not going to eat that same exact thing. So anyway, it sounds simple, and it is that simple, but just plan ahead and stop allowing your mind to give you all of the excuses as to why you can't be healthy while you're traveling, and why you can, and you can still have an amazing experience and not be putting all that crap into your body. So just because you're going out of town, that doesn't give you, that doesn't give you permission to not get up in the morning and go through your daily rituals, whether it be meditation, journaling, for me, visualizing, going through my visualizations, exercise. It doesn't give you a permission to not do any of those things. And one of the things that I love to do is make sure that I am traveling where I'm around like-minded people who live life like we do. And it seems like those people end up gravitating towards us if we are somewhere and it's not like a retreat type environment. And that was the benefit of me being in a retreat environment, is because everybody is very like-minded. They do things like we do. So now everybody is doing the same things in the morning. Everybody's eating, well, actually, I take that back. Everybody's not necessarily eating the way we do. That's what's interesting too, is even though I was in that retreat environment of more like-minded people, they still don't know what health is.
No.
And so it gives us an opportunity to really be able to teach people what health is.
Yeah. It's it was interesting when we were in Mexico there in Puerto Vallarta. I was, of course, there with the nephews, and of course the boys were excited about eating cereal, and so. And of course, it's always funny, before any bad decisions are made, when I'm there, they're like, hey, we never do this. We never give this to the boys. I would never. It's always like this.
They even told me that when I finally showed up.
Exactly.
I never do this.
Then it's like, yeah, I'm sure you never do this. Although the boys are like, they're so excited about getting cereal at the store. And of course, they wanted Fruit Loops. And so it's weird because, in America, the Fruit Loops that are made from the food industry, it's a different formula than what's made in other parts of the world. I don't know if y'all know this. I wasn't fully aware of this, but Fruit Loops in Italy, in Spain, in Mexico aren't the same formula as they make in America, because in America, they're actually accentuating or highlighting or blowing up the colors of things with artificial colors and sugars, to make it more hyper palatable for kids, to make it more addictive, and to make it more visually pleasing. And it's interesting, there's actually science behind this, because the Fruit Loops weren't as bright as the colors and brightness of the Fruit Loops in America. So one of the reasons is the brain has all these sensory units that look at color. And so the warm colors are like the oranges and the reds and the yellows. Those are warm colors, but they're also the colors of ripe fruit, which, when a plant makes any type of fruit, if it's green, we know that it's not ripe. And so you probably shouldn't eat it, because we visualize that and we see that. But when it's red or it's orange or it's yellow, we know that it's ripe. And the plant wants you to know that it's ripe, because the plant wants you to eat the ripe fruit, because when the fruit is ripe, that seed in the fruit is fully mature, and now it's ready to be eaten, and of course redeposited to help spread the seed of the plant. So the food industry knows this, so they take those oranges, They take those reds, they take those yellows like in a Fruit Loops, and they make them super warm and bright and colorful to hit the brain of our kids to make them crave and want to eat this. There is a real science behind this. It's hard to believe, but remember, almost every single food that we eat in the grocery store is not grown, it's made in a lab, and it's real strategic. So I just thought that was interesting how the food industry in America, they've got over 10,000 ingredients that God knows what could potentially cause in the human body. And they do that to our food, and they do it strategically, and they're smart about it. So when you see those warm, bright colors, flip over the package and you know they're playing a game on all of us.
Well, what I thought was interesting, because I had seen this play out before in the past. I have an uncle that worked for Frito-Lay for a long time, and and I never knew this before, but he was like, yeah, here's some chips. And I remember him giving me these chips, and the chips had potatoes, sea salt, and olive oil. And I'm like, these are, and the packaging looked different. It was like Mediterranean Lays or something like that. He's like, yeah, these are the ones that are sold in Europe. And I didn't know that there was a difference. So that was the first time that I was tuned into that. So I always look now when we're in Europe to be able to see what the ingredients are. However, so this time when he's talking about those Fruit Loops, I was like, oh, it's got to still be the same. So I look at the box of the Fruit Loops. And now what I thought was very interesting is these Fruit Loops, that everything on the packaging was in Spanish. And as I'm looking at all of the ingredients on the panel, the ingredients are now the same as what they are in the United States. So what that means is that our culture is now literally pushing our agenda on different countries. And it's now causing the kids, for example, with these Fruit Loops, to also now be wanting the more sugar, be more addicted to the dyes that are in there, because when at one point where that red dye wasn't in there before, the yellow dye wasn't in there before in other countries, it now is. So even people around the world and people that are listening to our podcast in different countries, you need to be aware of that. You need to be looking at the packages. Like I said, planning ahead. There are other options out there, but you really need to take responsibility for your own health, and don't shun the responsibility just because you're traveling, right?
Yeah.
The Fruit Loops don't care that you're in a different country.
Yeah, we're not picking on Fruit Loops, just for the record. We could throw them all under the bus, but the dyes are the worst because, I've got like 13 hours in advanced microbiology. The most devastating stain to kill the bacteria was to use a red dye. All right. Red dyes destroy your gut. They destroy all the healthy bacteria in your gut, and they wreck your gut-brain axis. Remember, your mitochondria and your cells, which are the energy producers, they're the purple bacteria. You destroy your mitochondrial function. Dyes and colorings are not innocuous. Don't ever let them lie to you and tell you that they're safe, because they're not. We could go down that road a million different times. It was funny. I was out on my balcony the other day, and this big thing of wasps, like, it came out overnight. They built a hive, or I don't guess it's a hive. I don't know what they call what would the wasp thing be called? What that they built? It's not a hive. Is
it a nest?
It's a nest, a wasp nest. Yeah, okay, it's a nest. And it came out of nowhere. I'm like, dang it, I got to go get chemicals. So I go to get the Raid spray or whatever it's called, and I go to the gas station. I needed to get gas anyway. I'm going to pick up this can of this toxic solution, because you can shoot it from way far away, because I didn't want to get stung. And I go in there and I said, hey, where's all your wasp or your Raid spray? And he goes, it's over there by the Pringles. And I'm like, huh? Perfectly positioned, the same nutritional profile, all the same chemicals. So now I'm looking at the Pringles can, I'm looking at the can of Raid. Pretty similar. So interesting. Anyway, I was going to then just throw Pringles at the wasps, but I didn't know if they would eat them or not, but it probably would have killed them for sure. So anyway.
for sure. So another thing about strategies when you're traveling, okay, is to literally, like, and you mentioned it, but it's really to just disconnect.
Yes.
Also use that as an opportunity to disconnect from the matrix, disconnect from the phone. I'll be honest with you, that showed me that I had an addiction to looking at my phone, because it's crazy too. I used to think, no, that's not possible. but the people from whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever social medias, man, they know how to be able to give you the dopamine hits.
Yep.
Their goal is that once you go onto that social media platform, that you don't ever leave it. And so they want to keep you on there. And so it just showed me how addicted I was to that. So the fact that I could disconnect from those, during those, gosh, that was almost 2 weeks that I was disconnected from there. It was really cool because when you look even and this is one of the things that we went through in that event, but not to get too kumbaya and esoteric, but when you look at, for example, the true essence of love, for example, the true essence of love is completely unattached. The true essence of love lets go, or it allows. So when you allow yourself to be disconnected from the matrix like that, what you're also doing is you're allowing yourself to be able to receive love from yourself and not need that love from the dopamine hit from outside places, like the validation of the likes, or the looking at, whatever it is that you receive comfort from when you are looking at social media. So it was like literally a detachment. And it's been great because now, since I've been back, I've really been detached from that and not even really paying attention to that. And so that attachment can be also in the form of people. People that you may be around, that maybe that person that enables you and gives you comfort. Well, you need to detach from that, because that right there isn't true love. When I mean true love, really about loving yourself, you should be getting that true love from yourself, and that detachment from the matrix allows you to be able to do that
I
better.
thought you weren't going kumbaya.
I completely went kumbaya.
No, I like it when you go kumbaya. Nobody goes kumbaya better than my boy right here, Dr. Rob. So no, that's real. It's real. In fact, it's not even just like disconnecting from, electrical dirty energy. It's also reconnecting to the energy that God gave us for free, that actually energizes and recharges your battery, which is why traveling where you can get close to a body of water, to the ocean, getting your feet into the sand, onto the ground, recharging your battery, getting sun into your eyes, getting sun onto your body. That early morning time is such an important time to really set your entire day up. So that's one of the reasons I like vacation so much, is I'm able to enjoy that even more. I don't have a deadline. I don't have a meeting. I don't have an alarm going off on my phone. I'm just able to just easily flow into that environment. And it's such a huge difference when you're able to do that, how you feel, how you sleep, your levels of stress. You're definitely adapting differently to your environment. We always talk about creating an environment where good things are more likely to happen.
Yep.
Good things are more likely to happen when you're able to do that. So real talk.
Yeah. Another thing too, so when you're traveling, it also allows you this, and this is something that we're really intentional about, is also just meeting new people and experiencing different cultures and the way different cultures do things. Like the culture there in Puerto Vallarta was different than the culture in Tulum, which was different than the culture in Hawaii,
Right.
which is one of the things that I love, because you look at different cultures and we always think that our way is the best way. And then when you experience those other cultures, you're like, wow, my way wasn't necessarily the best way. And we look at it through the lens of health. What are these people doing in this culture right here that allows them to have healthy longevity, live a longer life? And I think that it's, we've already talked about this, but it's also plays itself out when we see it, is that, what all the other cultures do really well is other cultures do community very, very, very well. And so, you have a group of like-minded people who are there to pray with each other, who are doing like-minded things, culturally speaking, making better health choices in different cultures as well. Is really cool to be able to see and experience.
It seems like they're happier than other people, and they typically are the ones who have less than almost all of us. Isn't that the crazy thing?
It is.
Things and possessions and cars and houses and whatever, jewelry, all those things are great. Man, it seems like the happiest people, they don't have a lot, but they know what they have and they're so thankful for it, which goes back to getting involved in that vitamin G, the world's largest vitamin deficiency, living in gratitude waking up and enjoying that, being thankful that you could even be on a trip, that you could even have that cup of coffee. It just becomes almost like every single thing you're more thankful for it when you see people who maybe don't have what you have. You know, we were even talking to a lot of the workers there in Puerto Vallarta, if you remember this, which I'm sure that you do, and they were so friendly and happy. They worked like 4 days a week. Obviously, they weren't rich, but they were like, they loved their life so much that they got to be at this resort, create great experiences for other people, make new friends on a daily and weekly basis, and then get to go home to their family because they're only working 3.5 days a week. And they were so thankful for what they had. So it was like, it wasn't the possessions, it wasn't the money, it was the life that they were able to create. And that gave them so much freedom, I believe, to keep things in perspective, right? It's easy to get things out of order. And we rank things in our life that really aren't that even important. So I think being gone and even meeting people in that regard is a huge value, because I remember some of my happiest times in my life were when I basically had nothing, but I had great friends, I had great family, and I was so thankful for those things. I don't ever want to lose that.
No, I absolutely love that. It was fun too, just even like in Hawaii, for example, in one of the places that I was at, where, you know, along the beach, it had all of these tents were set up and people were out there barbecuing, but it was all these groups of families and friends that were doing that. You saw mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandmothers, the whole entire thing. And they're, you know, these little kids are out there surfing and just having like the best time. And so speaking of getting yourself uncomfortable, so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna have a surf lesson while I'm there. And I think that's one of the things that getting out like that and traveling, it allows you to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to, you know, a lot of times we'll go to travel to get comfortable. However, I think a new practice for me is to do that and get uncomfortable, do things that I would not normally do.
Yeah.
And a lesson that I had in that was even in that the retreat in Palm Springs is even getting up at 6 a.m. in the morning and doing, I don't know if I told you this or not, but doing 10 sets of 10 burpees and then push-ups in between. So 100 burpees.
Wow, and that's not a joke.
No, not a joke.
Does everybody know what a burpee is? If you don't know what Dr. Rob, would you like to demonstrate a burpee?
I don't know that we have enough room here. So
essentially explain it, because that is not an easy exercise.
Yeah, so it's literally jumping onto the ground, doing a push-up, squatting yourself back up, and then jumping and
because you kick your legs out though, don't you?
Yeah, you kick your legs out. You do a push-up.
Yeah,
and then you come back up. And then you do like a jumping jack.
10 of those, and you had to do 10 sets of 10?
10 sets of 10.
Holy smokes, that's intense.
It is intense. So here's what it did for me though, is it reminded me that, you know what, I do need to be working on putting more muscle on my body. And I've been doing the burpees ever since on a daily basis since then. And so, yeah, so one of the things that helped me get out of my comfort zone. And so I just allowed myself the opportunity to really continue to say yes to everything that would get me out of my comfort zone while I was there. And I've never done this before. You know how I am when it comes to seminars, events, and things like that, where I'll be like dialed in and focused. I was at that event, and the young lady that was sitting next to me, we got to on the first day we got to chatting, and she's like, "Hey, where are you going? You know, are you going back to Dallas on Sunday?" I'm like, "No, I'm going to Hawaii." She's like, "No way, me too." I'm like, that's crazy, right? And then they had a raffle, and out of 800 people, her and I were the two people that actually won. I'm like, wow. So you just like thinking about these like new connections, new friendships. And she's like, "Hey, you want to go play golf tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.? And I'm like, huh? Play golf before a seminar, right? And so she's like, yeah, we can get in 9 holes, go play golf, and then make it to the seminar. And
you would never do that.
I would never do that.
No.
This is what I mean, because I'd want to be ready for the seminar, right? Or I'd be missing something, right? And so that morning, what I was missing, they were doing yoga that next morning. So I missed the yoga to go do that, but I just said yes and gave myself the opportunity to do that. So it was really pretty unbelievable playing golf at sunrise. And so that was really cool, really fun. But again, It's just a new experience. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable, do things that you wouldn't normally do. And you know what? That grows you while you're gone and you're away.
Yeah, which kind of leads us to wanting to make sure that that's one of the reasons why we've created the Happy Healthy Living Life Happy Healthy for Life retreat. This is really getting you out of these blocks and these areas where you feel trapped, where you feel like you can't grow, you feel like you're no longer to take mitigated risk because we've gotten yourself into a place that where you feel stuck. And so I can speak from personal experience. One of the reasons I even left the country, years ago, which this last month in July was 14 years since I'd been diagnosed with late stage cancer, is I left the country because I needed to leave my life, because I had literally built a prison I was living in where I was no longer able to live the life I felt like God called me to live. And I think the only way I was going to get out of that is God had to wake me up and take me out of that. So when you can leave your life, we're not talking about, that's an extreme example, but when you can leave your life for 2, 3, 4 days, get around like-minded people, challenge yourself, get uncomfortable and grow, and be able to take that back to your family, to your job, to your community, there's nothing more valuable. So I'm excited about our event coming up as well. We weren't sure we were going to do one this year, but it's a no-brainer. We know coming off last year in Italy, this year going into Mexico, we're going to be headed right there to Tulum, Mexico, where we love and spend a lot of time there. That is going to be insane. And I think there's going to be some lifelong relationships and some real breakthroughs we're going to have there.
Yep. So for all the listeners, we'll put the link for the retreat so you can get more information into the show notes, as well as the on the podcast as well. So you'll be able to get that link. And then for our clients who are our VIP clients, of course, they get first access to it. And then we'll launch to the general public, which will be next week. And so you'll get that link when this comes out next week. You can get more information about that. It's going to be unbelievable. A lot of things that we're talking about right now, we're going to actually be doing. And it's one thing to hear the stuff and listen to it theoretically. And it's another thing to actually experience it in real time. So you'll be able to do that. So again, for this podcast today, we talked about making sure that you're planning ahead, disconnecting, reconnecting with nature, exploring new cultures, push your boundaries, get out of your comfort zone. And you know what? Don't use the excuse, hey, you know what? I can't go somewhere because I can't afford it, or I don't have the time to do that. You know what? You deserve to be able to do it. And it doesn't mean you have to go to Mexico or you have to go to Hawaii or go to any of these different places. You know what? Just take a couple days to do a staycation. Go somewhere close by, but make sure that you're disconnecting put away your phone, do all the things that we've been talking about. Because here's the one thing that we've been realizing. This is you'll laugh about this because we talk about this quite a bit. It's like every time that we travel and we do disconnect, the exact opposite of what you think is going to happen ends up happening. We always grow. Our company always grows every time that we travel. We always grow as individuals. But I tell you what, the people around you also notice. I can't tell you how many people have said, hey, you know what? You're different right now. I was just at the coffee shop that we normally go to down the road, Buongiorno, and a guy that we know, his name is Brian. He listens to the podcast as well. He's like, man, where have you been? You look different. And and I didn't say a word. I'm not wearing anything any different than I would normally wear. It's just your demeanor, your energy, everything is different. You're better.
Get more creative for sure.
Yeah,
I know I do.
And God's in alignment with that. That's what he wants. So he's not going to punish you for that, I guess is what it is that I'm saying. He wants you to do that. But sometimes the challenge in getting uncomfortable is just the act of actually going to the place and doing it.
Yeah, because remember, all the magic is on the other side of all the things that you're avoiding and not wanting to do because you keep lying to yourself. And I'm speaking to me. That's where all the magic is. Don't forget it.
Yeah. So you deserve that. So you deserve to live the happiest, healthiest life possible. So with that, that concludes this episode of the Happy Healthy Life podcast. For our VIP members, don't go anywhere. Stay there. We're going to go through some information about the retreat, answer any questions that you do have about living a happier, healthier life. And we will be back with you on the next episode of the Happy Healthy Life.
God bless.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.